Greetings, I'm Ray Carnicelli from lax904.com, and it's my pleasure to be joined with Brian Silcott of LB3. Brian,
good to see you, Ray.
Thanks for joining me, and nice meeting you.
My pleasure.
So you're getting to be a regular down here in Jacksonville. Tell me what your first impressions are of the lacrosse environment here.
I've met a lot of people, and there's a lot of passionate people about the game here, which is kind of a key element for it to grow and develop. You got to have people that love the sport and are willing to put in the time to make things happen. I've already met a lot of great coaches. We're talking to Brian Duncan of the Bulls. He's a great guy and an excellent coach down here. Pat Harnett, Jason Alford, and our goal is to build our company, obviously, but also to overall build the sport and help other coaches and help folks come together to make it as strong as possible.
And you hear the term get thrown around, grow the game, and it's kind of a flashpoint for me because growing the game for just numbers isn't the right way to do it. And one of the things that kind of been drawn to LB3 is growing the game the right way. Tell me a little bit about the philosophy about how you want to grow the game.
Well, the numbers are important. We want kids to play the game, so that is part of it. Trying to get out and introduce kids to the sport, which we'll be doing with our staff down here, and try to find ways to get into schools and introduce kids to the sport when they're young. One of the tough things in our game is that in so many new territories, so to speak, which Florida is still a relatively new territory compared to where we grew up. What ends up happening is a lot of kids are trying to get the best athletes to start playing the sport when they're in 8th grade or 9th grade, and it's kind of new to them. And that's a huge inhibitor for a strong athlete to all of a sudden take a step back and do something new and be that awkward kid when he's used to being the stud.
Right.
It's a difficult thing. So what we like to do is try to introduce it, even if it's in a passive way, get into PE classes, get into schools, and at least get a stick with it. So they grow up knowing what this game is, being familiar with it. At some point along the line, they may make the decision to be a player. If not, nothing lost. They still learn a little bit about the game, but we want them growing up about the sport. The other side of it, in terms of the growth, is growing the game and teaching kids to play it the right way, which is something that's very important to us. We believe that lacrosse is a beautiful game. It should be fun to watch. It should be fun to play. We think there's a way it should be played which involves lots of passing, and it's more of a finesse game. Lacrosse is not football. In certain areas at certain times, games become a little bit football-like, both in terms of what's happening on the field and what's happening on the sideline sometimes. So wherever we go, we try to spread the message that it's a beautiful game. It's about playing with your stick, being a smart player, being an elegant player. It's physical. You're going to get hit, you're going to get whacked, and there is some physicality to it, but that's not the idea of the sport. It's about being beautiful with a stick.
And I agree, and it is a great game to play, and the way I describe it is, it's diversity in the people who can play from size. And I was playing in high school, 5'10", 145. The guy next to me might be 6'3", 220. Doesn't mean he's necessarily going to get the ball every time. And having that ability for so many different people to play size, it helps to be big, fast, and strong.
Right.
But it doesn't exclude anybody.
Being big, fast, and strong with lousy stick skills doesn't get you very far. And that's the reality, that no matter how much you grow and how fast you get, if you can't manage the tool, which for us is the lacrosse stick, and there's only one way to do that. That's by spending time practicing with it. And the kids that commit to that and spend the time in that get good, whether they're 5'4", 120 pounds in high school, or 6'4", 220 pounds. You can have a position on the field by developing that skill set.
How old were you when you started playing?
I was a late comer. I started as a sophomore in high school. Classic story. Bored to death with baseball, standing in the outfield watching the lacrosse team practice, thinking, these guys look like they're having a lot more fun than me.
And here in North Florida, it's such an expansive region. Jacksonville is one of the largest cities geographically in the United States, and it's a market where you don't have to have everybody fighting over the same pie. There's such an opportunity to expand the pie, and I know that's part of your plans.
Absolutely, and it's to get more kids playing. That people look at us everywhere we go. Immediately, even where we come from, we're based out of Atlanta right now. People still look at us and the other clubs as competing with each other. And I don't view it that way. Maybe some people do, but we look at it as we're all working together. We have our kids, they have their kids. If the other clubs don't exist, who are we going to play? We need people to compete against, and the idea is that we all do a good job. And some clubs operate one way, some clubs operate the other, and there's a right fit for every single kid. And if we all do a good job, the net result isn't that we're bickering over kids and who's playing where. It's that we're all providing great experiences for kids and attracting more and more kids into our game and growing it over well for each other.
So is that how you measure success? I mean, obviously you want to have the ability to send a recruit off to great schools and open those opportunities, but looking at kids coming back and wanting to play and looking forward to the season and telling their friends and expanding, how do you measure success?
But one of the big ways, and for us on the high end, there is the college thing, and it's always fun when you see kids get opportunities to play at some of the top tier schools. But I think for me, in terms of the college thing and our top club programs, the thing for me is how many of those kids are choosing to play in college. Less what level the top kid is playing at, but is the bottom kid also deciding to maybe it's go to Georgia and play club lacrosse, but he has fallen in love with the game and wants to keep playing. And that's really the key. Some kids are going to be good enough to play at Syracuse or Princeton or Villanova, and some kids are not. But we want those kids that are not quite as good to still love the game and decide I'm going to play at a club team, I'm going to play at a Division III program, play Division II, they're going to do something to make them
on the recruiting end, because it's on the forefront of so many people's minds, especially parents who aren't that familiar with the game, who they get a lot of, the kids feel the pressure to travel, go to all the big tournaments because the coaches are going to see them. In my opinion, the biggest problem with that mentality is a lot of kids are choosing the wrong schools. You see a lot of kids fall out, transfer, realize they're either in over their heads or not at the right level. How do you manage that?
Well, one of the things we try to stress to our kids, the bigger issue I see with the kids that all they want to do is go and play in showcases. And if I go enough times, that coach is going to see me and decide I'm a great player. And my thing is that if the coach saw you play and didn't say, I want this kid in my program, going back and playing in front of him 10 more times isn't going to change that. What you need to do is go back and develop your game. And that's what we try to emphasize, is that we run these programs, and yes, we take kids to events and we give them opportunities to be seen by coaches. That's the secondary thing. What the program is about getting better at the game, having fun with the game. And the net result is if you do that, college coaches are going to want you in their program. They're going to have opportunities presented to you, provided you take care of the classroom and you're a good citizen, as well as being a good lacrosse player. Right. Those opportunities will appear for you. And what we do is try to make sure that our kids are making their ultimate decision based on all of those things combined. Academics, socially, and I included that, the geographics, where is the school located, what size schools, all that stuff combined, and then the athletic side. And for some kids, the athletic side is a little more important. Some kids that really is, means a lot to them where they're playing, but we try to make sure they balance that with, well, are you going to get the education you want? Are you going to be at the right academic level where you're going to both survive but also be challenged? And are you going to be a school where you're going to enjoy being in college? Talk to me. College life is supposed to be about education. It can be about sports, but it's also an important growing time, and you should be having fun, sure, enjoying it.
So what are some of the programs that the followers of LAX 904 can expect to see from LB3?
Yeah, we'll be doing stuff pretty much year-round. In the spring, we stay away largely from running our own programs and try to do things to support other programs. And most of our coaches during the spring are running their own things. Jason Alfred coaches Creekside, and Pat Harnett coaches at Episcopal. Another good friend of ours I mentioned before, Brian Duncan, is going to be doing some stuff with us, and he's the coach of Bowls. And they all have their own things going on as well. But then throughout the rest of the year, we run leagues in the fall, we run leagues in the winter. Our leagues are based on playing the game, but also on continuing the education side of it as well. We want to make sure we're taking kids, whether they're the little guys that haven't learned to catch and throw, or the big guys that think they've learned to catch and throw, and always break them back down and make sure we're getting those fundamentals correctly implemented into their game, but also providing them the chance to play. Get out and scrimmage and have fun and actually play the game as well. During the summer, we run club teams. We'll have some different levels of club teams, from select teams, where we keep them on basically a pretty local schedule. We don't travel a whole lot. We're staying close to the Florida area and in the south. Then we'll also provide opportunities on the higher end, both in terms of teams that are specifically from Jacksonville, and also chances to play on our national teams, where they have some bigger events. And those are for the kids that really show a lot of progress and develop and have the drive and desire to do a little bit more. And like you said, the college thing shouldn't be all of it. It is part of it. It's important to help those kids that want to go and do that and try to provide them opportunities.
Great. Question for you on recruiting, and this is kind of off topic here. I'm curious, your experiences in outdoor, Major League Lacrosse, NLL, indoor lacrosse, college, coaching at the highest levels. Have you ever run across a kid that you watch play in ninth grade that really surprises you when he's a senior at the development?
Absolutely. And that's one of the interesting thing about the recruiting process now. You see these kids that are committing to schools when they're freshmen in high school, and personally, I don't see a huge problem with that. If you have an opportunity to be promised a slot at the University of Virginia when you're a freshman in high school, I think there's a long line of kids who would take that, and I can't really see that being a bad choice in your life. But the other thing that happens with that, though, is that those coaches scoop those guys up, and then there are lots of kids that develop after that. And the kid was the third best attackman in his class as a freshman, but by the time the seniors, he's the best attackman. And that one of those other kids may have already committed somewhere, and he hasn't yet. That's just the reality of the way it works. And what that ends up doing now is providing opportunities for coaches that are patient to get good kids later in the game.
And I think what we'll probably see is some coaches holding a couple slots every year.
And more are. And some are doing it quietly, some are being very public about it. There's some coaches you talk to them and they say, we're slowing down. We want to wait and see these kids at least play a varsity lacrosse game before we start making decisions about them. And there's other guys that take the chance and roll the dice on 3, 4, 5 kids early, saying, this kid is this is a can't miss, and I'm going to take a shot at this kid now.
The coaches have the advantage is that there's so many great kids around the country and in Canada coming over to the United States. So if you're looking at just the NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3, there's good players at all levels, and it's just going to be getting so much more competitive to get on the field in Division 1 that you're going to see the level of 2 and 3 continue to rise.
Absolutely.
And the other piece of it is with Division I lacrosse, the rosters are expanding too, which is an interesting dynamic. Teams with 55 plus rosters. When you and I were back in the golden age, 35, you might have some...
35 was a big roster.
Yeah, 35 was a big roster. You might have some players who practiced and hopefully next year they could play. But what do you think about these 55-man rosters?
Well, I think it's a decision it's something that every kid should look at when he's choosing colleges, and it's an important thing. It's a difficult thing for a kid to gauge, but you need to find out when you're selecting a school, do I have a legitimate chance to play here, or am I signing on just to be able to say I committed to the school, or am I really positioning myself in the best place where I'm going to have a chance to play lacrosse? And that's why I tell a lot of guys that are talking to a school, well, make sure that you're really an important part of their plans. Just because they're saying, we think we can fit you in, and you're going to be the 4th, 5th attackman as a freshman, and the day you walk on the campus, they're looking to recruit a kid better than you, rather than trying to develop you to fill a spot. That's not a great situation to be in. There's programs that do that, and there's programs that don't. You need to be cognizant of that as a recruit kid. How do you fit in? Talk to the coach. Ask them those questions.
It's a great opportunity for the kids, though. That the educational opportunity, the ability to choose geographically where you want to go. For the kids who do the right thing in the classroom and learn to love and grow their passion for the game of lacrosse, the opportunities are immense.
And the classroom thing, we as coaches say it, and parents are saying all the time, I think kids get a little sick of hearing it sometimes, but in our game more than anything, unless maybe you're a squash player, I think there's too many sports where your level academically is going to have a huge impact on where you can play. You drop down to a 3.2 GPA, you've knocked off like half of the lacrosse program. You literally can't take it. And that's not true with football and basketball. It's true much more.
And one thing about the younger recruiting, it's probably a great thing that they know about it. They're involved in the process earlier, so they're not waiting till 10th grade to realize, or 11th grade to realize, well, maybe I do need to get my grades up to a 3.5 if I want to go.
Maybe I should take a couple AP classes.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of all the easy courses.
I guess that's one side benefit of the younger recruiting. The kids are getting that message earlier and with enough time to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
So, well, Brian, welcome to North Florida. We're happy to have you here. I've been involved in lacrosse here for over 20 years, back when there were just a couple of teams, and the biggest difference is the level of coaching. People who've moved in, people who've come back to Jacksonville after leaving for a while, and the addition of the LB3 program and you and the coaches you mentioned earlier are certainly going to help raise the level of play and hopefully expand the participation.
Yeah, we're excited for it. It's a great thing for me is that living in Atlanta, it's pretty warm. We're coming down here, it's even a little bit warmer during the winter.
Exactly.
I'll be a frequent visitor.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Excellent.